I am your host, Tim. That's all you ever known me by. Along with our co-host, Tyler McAllister. I was saying Michael, but it's just because McAllister sounds weird. You know, it's a better first name than Tyler, in all honesty. That's the one thing that he needs to know. He ought to know. And I'm doing this solo right now, all because he went away for 2 minutes, and he couldn't even get done what he needed to before we started this. Oh,
Hello.
back. Hello.
Welcome to Somewhat Okay Podcast.
I already said all that.
Damn. Today's podcast is in memory of my friend Sandy's father, who passed away today. So, shouts out to him. Let's start, shall we?
No.
Good. So I can't see the topics currently.
Oh.
So
We're doing this analog.
nope, never mind. I found them. Anyways, today's topics. I'm gonna start with what Tim's today because I want to.
Oh boy.
So Tim, favorites.
Yes. I think we can just talk about what we like, what we enjoy.
That's a
Is there a
shame because
problem
I don't
with that?
enjoy anything.
Well, you better start enjoying something.
Okay, so what are we starting with in
Uh-huh.
favorites? Which particular thing would you like to start on?
I guess we could start with movies. That's a good
Okay,
point.
just like all
the
time
audience-
favorites or like
Yeah,
specific.
just general.
Okay. Fuck.
Or just like anything related to like video.
Wish I thought about this before I got here. Well, my favorite movie. Fuck. I don't know. Clockwork Orange is pretty good. It's a pretty good movie. I enjoy that.
nah.
I like that movie.
Yeah.
It's pretty
They're
good.
actually seen it myself.
You haven't seen it?
No.
It's a great-
What is it about?
A Clockwork Orange is so you follow this guy. His name is Alex DeLarge. This is in the movie. It's based off of a book too, but we won't get into the book too much, even though the movie gets all into the book.
Oh.
The movie follows Alex DeLarge, who's this like psychopath who spends his time going around murdering and raping people. And beating and robbing people and such. And he's like I think he's like 17 years old in the movie, going out and doing all this stuff. But then I can basically give away the plot because it's not really the plot's not really.
Spoiler!
Yeah, spoiler alert if you haven't seen A Clockwork Orange in the last 50 years it's been out. Basically, what ends up happening is he ends up going to prison for his crimes because his like gang of people betray him.
Oh.
And then while he's in there, they try this thing called the Ludovico technique on him, which is like a brainwashing technique. And then he's eventually brainwashed into where he has no choice but to be good. Like he can't commit crimes or it makes him like violently sick. And it's just really great commentary on like, yeah, we could take all of the good out of the world, but is it really good if we take away the ability for someone to make a choice? Because they throw him out in the world after they do this, and he like can't defend himself from anything because he can't be violent at all, or it makes him sick. So people can just freely assault him and attack him, and there's nothing he can do about it. And yeah, it's just a lot of people just think it's like, oh, it's controversial and it has rape in it, which it does. It has rape, yeah. But that's not like the entire point of the movie. You're missing the point if you come away from it saying, I didn't like it because there was rape in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a definitely interesting concept. Just like, if you're going to rehabilitate a person to that point, what's the point of doing it if they're just vulnerable?
Exactly. And the main thing is choice. Like, that's something that they talk about it a lot in there. There's this priest who's like, are we really good people if we're taking away this boy's ability to be a choice or make choices? And can you be a man if you cannot make your own choices? So, yeah, it's just it's really heavy. It's not something that you're gonna put on at a party, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, this is fun." No, this is not a party movie. I mean, depending on your group of friends, I would not personally hang out with people who watch Clockwork Orange at a party. That, but
Would you recommend it on a first date, though?
No. You want to know what movie I watched on our first date? Mistakenly, Pulp Fiction. Yeah, let me tell you, that relationship did not last very long. Let me tell you. Oh man, that did get me a makeout session though. So shouts out to Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
In like 2015.
I mean,
so, yeah.
Interesting.
Which also a good movie, by the way. I'm not shit talking Pulp Fiction. That's a good ass movie. It also has a great drinking game if you want to die. So yeah, that's another movie I would put in there. I'm just recommending stuff at this point. So
true.
All right, go on. What about you?
I think this is the one that just comes up most often whenever I am referring to film is the movie Fury. In like 2000, it's like a 2014 or 15 movie.
Mm-hmm.
Stars Brad Pitt.
I like Brad Pitt. Not really.
It's a good old World War II movie.
Right.
Except
I think
it's
I know
around.
that.
Yeah, it's around a tank crew.
Right. Okay.
And they're like the invasion of Germany. And it's just overall, it's just like I just enjoy the fight scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like fight scenes, like in war movies, it's like, oh, there's people shooting at each other and all that. But and I mean, there are a few scenes where it's like that, but it's just like interesting to see it from the perspective of a tanker.
Oh yeah.
And it might not be like 100% there, granted.
Yeah,
but,
Shia LaBeouf was in that movie, huh?
Yeah, and he was
That's
actually
right.
good.
Yeah, he was decent for once in his life. Shouts out to Shia LaBeouf being decent for once in his life.
And it just the primary premise of the movie is that they make, or at the beginning they like make it out of an engagement, and they're like the last ones alive, and they get a new gunnerman who apparently was supposed to be like a typer.
Right.
Like he was supposed to like use a type machine, but he instead gets transferred to being the gunner of a tanker crew. So he has this whole dilemma of whether or not he should be killing people or whatever, and eventually survival sort of takes over the need to takes over the moral ground. And there's like one of my favorite scenes in that movie is the fight between the main characters and a tiger, like a tiger tank.
Oh yeah.
Because that was just intense.
You know,
Tigers were brutal.
You bring up fight scenes in war movies, and I immediately thought of the scene in Saving Private Ryan where the two there's a German soldier and an American soldier, and they both run out of ammunition, so they like chuck their helmets at each other. I don't know. That just always stuck out to me, and I thought it was a beautiful piece of work. So
yeah,
shouts out to Saving Private Ryan. That's not a good war movie. You know, a war movie I love that got absolutely shit on by two critics that I really respect.
What?
Full Metal Jacket. Well, actually, no. One did like it. Siskel and Ebert. I was watching their review of Full Metal Jacket, and Ebert is just shitting on the movie the whole time. And I'm like, man, I loved this movie. Although, people are always like, why do you watch? Why watch critics? Like, form your own opinions. Like, dude, I do. But
yeah,
I like to see other people's opinions too. I love other perspectives. And he offered a unique perspective. He was like, the camera work and this is average. And I was like, huh. I didn't really think about it. But yeah, for a Kubrick movie, it is really average camera work. Like, huh. And then he was like, I only like the first half. And that's what most people say. Most people only like the first half of Full Metal Jacket, from what I've gathered from conversations that I've had with people. But I think that also, talking about this film makes me sad now because R. Lee Ermey died. So shouts out to him. You played a magnificent drill sergeant in every time you played a drill sergeant, which was multiple times. So he was great. I'm very sad to see him go. So yeah, Full Metal Jacket's another great movie. I'm trying to stray away from war. I'm trying to think of a movie that's not.
Well, just like one thing, Dunkirk that just came out I think last year.
Oh yeah, Christopher Nolan
I understand
movie.
I understand like a lot of like A lot of people that just they enjoy it. It was pretty like deadpan. Although I did love the ending.
Oh,
The
yeah?
ending was really well done.
Oh yeah.
Because it's all about the British trying to pull out their military,
Uh-huh.
and most of the men there, they're just like, okay, we get out of here, we get to survive the war. We don't have to worry about this. And then at the very end, it's like it ends with like a majority of all the soldiers are just getting home on like the trains.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like there's like newspaper boys, and one of the soldiers like calls out to him while they're passing by him, and he grabs the newspaper, and it's Churchill's address,
Right. Oh man.
and they're all just like looking at each other. It's just like,
Oh,
yeah,
good time.
you thought it's just like, oh, we just survived one of the most trialing aspects in our life we ever faced. We shouldn't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah, no, we're good. Everything's fine. Everything's
Oh.
fine, guys. Just go. Oh no.
Oh, this isn't fine
Oh
at all.
no. A movie that I got really into. I think it came out in 2015.
Mhm.
That also got absolutely shit on, not just by critics, but by fucking everyone that I've ever talked to. It's Gus Van Sant's Sea of Trees with Matthew McConaughey and Naomi
Actually,
Watts and Ken Watanabe.
Actually, I don't even remember that title.
I don't think anyone does. It came out at it came out at the Cannes Film Festival, and it never saw like a large theatrical release that I'm.
Oh, gotcha.
But it got, they played it at the festival, and then it got booed to shit when people were just like,
Oh.
boo, boo, like people walked out of it. Everyone was just like, this movie fucking sucks, and I can kind of see why, because it has a really slow beginning, and if you're not used to like slow openings, you're gonna be
Yeah.
like, when is this damn movie gonna? It takes like 20 minutes for a fucking piece of dialogue to be spoken.
Uh,
So people were probably just like, is this just Matthew McConaughey walking around? Is that what are we watching him fly to cash in the check for this movie? But no, it's a really good movie about a man who loses his wife, and he goes to the suicide forest to obviously commit suicide. When he comes across this other man who's trying to commit suicide in the forest, but he, I guess the guy that was committing suicide in the forest no longer wants to die, so Matthew McConaughey tries helping the guy find his way out of the forest, and we just watch these two try to journey out of the Aokigahara forest together, and it's just really heart-touching. And one of the most damning scenes in that movie, I'm not going to spoil any of it because it's a really good movie, you should see, but man, there's one part where they get your hopes up, and you're like, oh, thank God, everything's working out. Like,
and
then they just absolutely crush it, like to dust. Any hope that you had, you're like, yay, a good thing's happening. And you're just like, no.
happiness is a concept.
I was watching it with my friend Michelle. I was at her apartment in Portales, and we were watching this movie together. And that's the scene that I'm talking about happens, and we're both just like, no. Oh, no. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, you can't do that. But they did that. So
this isn't allowed.
yeah, is this allowed? Yeah, so that was, shouts out to Gus Van Sant. He makes a lot of movies that I like. So he made what's it called? Good Will Hunting. That's his movie. And he also made a bunch of other films that I like that no one's ever heard of, because they were a bunch of underground art films that he submitted to festivals and stuff. But check out his movie Jerry. Check out his movie don't look at Last Stage, actually. It kind of sucks. Look at Elephant. Look at whatever the movie he had that was with, I think it was Sean Connery's in it. Sean Connery plays a writer in this movie about this guy who gets mentored by this author. Sean Connery's the mentor, and it's this little African American guy that Sean Connery mentors, and it's a really beautiful movie, and it's all about going against the grain and fighting against what society tells you to be, and it's really good. So look up that movie. Just type in Gus Van Sant, Sean Connery. It should come up. I think it's called Finding Forrester, actually, because I remember when I watched it, I'd been wanting to see it, and then this person that I hung out with at the time was just like, hey, look, I rented this movie today. Let's watch this. And I was like, okay, cool. I wanted to watch this anyways. So, awesome. I rented it from the library. So yeah, those are. How many good movies did I just list off? 3, 4? Anyways, your turn, Tim. You start talking about other movies.
What is it? A Quiet Place that just came out this year.
Yeah.
That was really good. That was really like it's just like it does a really good job of like the classic rule of show don't tell. Like most most movies. It's like interesting enough. I'm not sure. Are you planning to watch it, or is it even out?
It's out, right?
Is it still out?
I think. Wait, maybe not.
Like,
it might not be. I don't know.
Not sure. It's been a while, but like this might be a little bit spoilery. So
okay. Well, as of current, I'm not planning to watch it. So
okay, and
I'll probably forget about it when I do go to watch it. So
yeah. Well, see, a big part of it is that like a huge aspect of it is that aliens apparently invaded Earth.
Mm-hmm.
But most other movies they would like be drowning you into this like, oh yeah, this is what happened.
Right.
But at the beginning, we as a viewer, we have like no idea what's going on. All we know is that like this family who the main concept is like the main family, or like, well, actually the only family that you follow in the movie is that there's a family and they have a deaf daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So they all know how to communicate through sign language. So, and the thing is that the aliens, they're hypersensitive to sound.
Mm-hmm.
So you can make one noise from miles away and they'll be able to track you down. And yeah, it's just a really good story because like up until the very end, you're like, what are these things? What are they? What's going on?
Right.
And it's just impressive that a movie is able to keep its own world just like that. I don't know, like believable
mm-hmm.
in a sense that it's like people aren't talking about what's going on, because like it's like the classic pitfall that most people who are trying to create something fall into, is that they themselves are just so amazed or like just wanting to get their own imagination or creative thought out there. Mm-hmm. That every character, whenever they're talking about what's going on, just sounds like they're strangers to a world apparently where all this should be commonplace.
Right.
But in this movie, that doesn't happen. Everyone's just like, well, gee willikers. It's really good.
I might have to check that one out.
Mm-hmm. It's just suspenseful, and it got to me. And
right.
I don't really consider myself a person who gets jumpy that easy, but it just gets nerve-wracking whenever there's some instances where there's like talking and soundtrack, but like when the majority of it, it's just like muted.
Right.
You just get uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think I saw a Facebook post about it that pitched it as a different movie initially, and it sounded way more interesting when they sent out the fake pitch, where it was like, in my mind, I imagined it was because originally they were like, this is a horror movie about a deaf family, right? And I was like, man, what if they shoot the whole movie in silence and only like use vibrations to build tension? Wouldn't that be fucking wicked? That was like my mindset when I first heard the advertisement, but then more stuff came out about it, and I was like, oh, okay, it's just another regular movie. But they do use silence throughout the movie, from what I've heard and seen clips of. So that is, but I just feel like that'd be such a interesting movie to write. Yeah. Imagine a movie with absolutely no dialogue and complete silence, only told through mere vibrations sometimes. That'd be fucking wild.
Like, just like thinking about it, just like, I don't know, like I guess it would be like a sci-fi robot movie or something, like with a bunch of like utility robots or whatever.
Right.
And they're not able to like communicate to each other whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just running it through, like maybe like, house cleaning robots in like a home, and progressively it's like a mid-apocalypse or like catastrophic event, and we're just like, what's going on? What are they doing?
You know what? There's this classic horror movie that needs more love, in my opinion, that I don't think a lot of people know about. I don't know how into horror anyone who's watching this, or how into horror you are, Tim, but there is this great 1960s film called Eyes Without a Face. It's a French movie, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about this woman who has to wear this mask all the time because she has a deformed face from a car crash that she was in. And her father is a doctor who is kidnapping women and cutting their faces off so that he can give her a new face. And the movie sort of revolves around these two detectives who come in later trying to solve the situation and whatnot. So, yeah, it's worth a watch. Well, while Tim's away, I'm going to go ahead and take this second to go over our sponsored messages. So, this podcast is brought to you by TylerMcAllister.bandcamp.com, where you can check out all my latest releases. I have a new split coming out very soon with my good friend Nick Thomas. We are going to be putting that out sooner or later. I don't know. There's also going to be 7-inch vinyls available for it too. And all the music there is completely free. Don't forget that I also stream on this channel from time to time just straight video games. I was streaming Doom 2 earlier today, and also Final Doom as well, which are two very different games. And the Doom series is quickly becoming one of my new favorites, so I guess this kind of ties in with what we're talking about. Yeah, so remember, I do other stuff on this channel that you can check out, and there's also my Bandcamp to check out as well. I don't think Tim has anything to sell just yet, so I'm not going to cut him into this little deal yet, but he's going to have stuff to sell eventually, I'm sure. Yeah. But, yes, check out Eyes Without a Face. It's a classic movie. Really, really good movie, actually. I quite like that movie. I watched it with my friend Anthony, my drummer, actually. We watched it together, and it is an experience to be had. I'll tell you that. Let me tell you. What a damn movie. If you haven't seen that movie, give it a watch. It's definitely worth it. It's definitely a wow.
I apologize.
You're all right. I think I did pretty well right there. Thank you, Mr. Ingram, for teaching me how to talk endlessly. That's a callback. We talked about that before.
Oh yeah. But going back to like the horror movie, there's like horror movies in general though.
Mm-hmm.
I learned this from, or like I got this from a game, but like recently, I think the most thing about like, you know, the creepy genre, or just not creepy, but yeah, the horror genre is that it just there's too many. Like it's obvious that in today's Hollywood that any horror movie is just a cash grab.
Mm-hmm. Of course,
there's literally no weight in whatever there is in it. And
I think Get Out's the closest you could get to a good, super publicly produced horror movie.
In recent, the
other place apparently, but was that really horror though?
I'm not sure. What was
debatable? I'd say thriller maybe.
I'm not sure.
Sci-fi thriller. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'd say The Quiet Place is like also mostly a thriller.
Let's look it up.
But
I'm gonna Google search. Go on.
I just learned this from a game, and it's like a more indie title. Do you know Silvio, the game?
I've heard of it.
It's like
they call it
Silvio.
Yeah, we're right.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
And Silvio 2. I don't know much about the first one. I watched the playthrough of the second one, and that one it just presented something that I haven't felt in a while. Is that it's just something that just genuinely unnerved me.
Right.
And it was. They weren't like there was no jump scares whatsoever. It was just creepy environments, and it's just there needs to be a more bigger focus on the creepy environment that'll get people unnerved instead of trying to just jump scare.
Right. Oh, I agree wholeheartedly.
I
have a whole argument against jump scares that I'll get to in a second, but go ahead.
Yeah, there's just a difference between like traditional like I guess horror and actual just genuine creepiness. Because in Silvio 2 it's all about it's all like what is it, ESPs or or EVPs, or like electronic voice phenomenon. And just like all the environments and all the music, you're just like unnerved. You feel like you're just like on edge the entire time, but nothing ever really happens.
Right.
And there's like one point where it does get like all creepy because you do like a satanic ritual,
Mm-hmm.
and everything just goes crazy. But like nothing actually jumps out at you. But it just like whenever you do it, there's actually weight. You're just like, oh no, what did I just do?
You're like, oh no, please, don't do this to
Yeah. And also it helps that the main character, who is like this deadpan this for the entire experience,
me. Mm-hmm.
she starts panicking too at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like, wait, she's
Wait, she's afraid
nervous?
now? Yeah.
It's just like, wait, no, she talks like, just like, are you there? What is going on? Then all of a sudden her voice starts cracking. You're just like, wait,
Uh-oh.
wait, I need brakes.
And this is Silvio?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
The
Is this
second
newer?
one. I think it came out recently. Let me look it up. It's on Steam.
Do that. So let me explain to you guys why jump scares suck. All right. Here's the
I
thing.
don't haven't.
Here's the thing. So when you feel afraid, right? There's a difference between fear and what your body instinctually does in response to something. Like if I threw something at you and it hits you in the back of the head, yeah, it scares you. But did I put any work into that? Was there like really any effort put into that? And there can be jump scares, and like if you have tension building up to a jump scare, that's great. But if it's just like Five Nights at Freddy's where I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, oh god, something popped through the door, I'm afraid. And the thing about a jump scare is I'm afraid for a few seconds.
Yeah.
It's a fight or flight response from my body because something has came out of nowhere. It's an uncanny valley feeling. I'm like, oh god, that's not supposed to be there. But actual fear to me is something that you start and you build on continuously. Like something that did it really well. It's in the ambiance, it's in the sound design, it's in the visuals that I'm seeing. You're giving me hints that something scary is going to happen, and I'm dreading the fact that something scary is going to happen, right? So it's not like Outlast 2 where I get chased for 20 miles and I'm like, oh god, I'm so horrified, because I'm horrified not because I'm scared of the situation, but because if I die in the situation, I'm going to have to start the situation over again. That is not the kind of fear you want to elicit from a horror game. That's not what you set out to do. I should not be fearing dying because I'm going to have to start over. I should be in fear because I don't know what's going on. Right?
Yeah.
And that's sort of a film that I think does horror really, really well, and there's rarely any jump scares in it, is Rosemary's Baby.
I heard of that.
I think I referenced it last night, and you were like, "What the fuck is that?" So Rosemary's Baby, yeah, it's the movie about the woman who gets raped by the devil. Is it on
Netflix?
It might be debatable. I think it is. I think it is actually. I
think I
think
saw
that's
it
where
somewhere.
I watched it.
I think I've heard people like talk about it.
I think I watched it on Netflix actually. And what's great about that movie, I'm gonna tell you about the movie first, then I'm gonna give you the context to the movie that I didn't have when I watched it. But what's great about that movie is the constant. You're in the same boat as the main character. You only know as much as the main character does. So as she figures stuff out, we figure stuff out. And there's just this ambiance of, she's super paranoid about what's going on. No one believes her. No one's trying to help her. It seems like everyone's against her, and it's just horrifying to imagine. And then I won't give away the ending because it is one of the greatest endings of all time. But when that ending hits, it has one of my favorite quotes from a horror movie ever, which is, "What did you do to its eyes?" So you'll just have to get to the end of that to find out what that means. But god damn it, was that a good ending. It's seriously such a good horror movie. It's seriously so good. I am afraid to watch it. I avoid watching it at all costs. I've not seen it since the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
And that was 2 years ago, I think. And it still just like resonates in my memory. I've seen clips of it because people reference it ever so often. I'm like, it's also based off of a book of the same name, which is really good. But now let me give you the context that makes the movie even worse.
What?
Roman Polanski directed it. Does anyone here know who Roman Polanski is? Do I need to explain that?
Yes.
Roman Polanski date raped a 13-year-old girl
in
the 70s. And got away with it too. and is still on, I believe, the National Film Association, whatever the fuck, board. Like, I still believe he's on it, even though he, like, fled the country in spite of these accusations.
Oh!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing that
Great.
happened. So watch that movie with the idea that a man who rapes 13-year-olds is behind the camera directing it as well, because that makes it even worse.
It's all around.
And it's great about subtlety too, because they never really show anything horrific necessarily. They just imply a lot of stuff, which I think is much more effective than showing everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just like any horror movie that gives you control over what's going on.
Oh yeah.
Or just like lets you have like any
slasher
grasp.
movies where they show you everything and you know what's happening the whole time, and you're just like waiting for people to get knocked off.
Yeah, it's literally just like, oh, look at this. Well, GG, they're dead. You're not really that invested, but
I'm not. When I see characters in a slasher movie, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see how they die. I don't care about these people, and they make characters that you can't care about because they're just like, oh, you know, they're all dumbasses and idiots. You've got the Joker character, you've got the stoner, you've got the pretty girl who's probably gonna live at the end, you have the pretty bitchy girl who's probably gonna die soon, you have the jock dude, you've got the nerdy dude, you've got the black guy that's paranoid about everything because he knows black guys die first in horror movies. That's a very long stereotype name, by the way. Can we change that, possibly? Can we just narrow it down to black guy, maybe? I don't know.
Well, pretty much at this point, black guy just already encompasses.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think because of the trope, people have stopped doing that. They've stopped killing the black guy first.
Yeah. Yeah, like after people were just like, hey, this happens
This
pretty
is the
much
thing that's
every
happening
single time.
constantly. So, can we do something about that? Yeah. All right. So maybe, what other favorites do you want to discuss since we're here?
I mean,
I imagine
we
you
can
don't just
naturally
have favorite movies.
Yeah, we can just that's naturally segue into shows, but
Yeah.
I'll warn
Cool.
you, this is like full weeb. This is gonna go full weeb mode.
Same though.
mode.
Same though. Most of the shows that I've watched are animes, anyways. I don't know. There's something about real people that I just can't enjoy.
I'm not sure if it's just like how I was just raised, because the majority of what I watched was cartoons. But like, and I mean, it's just, you know, Supernatural was the first actual show that I could actually like watch and just be like, okay, yeah, this has real life actors and it's enjoyable.
Right.
And I guess it's just also coupled with the fact that normally I don't really enjoy a lot of TV, or like I used to didn't really enjoy TV shows. I'd watch it whenever they were on, sure, but I wouldn't like, oh, this is on, I have to watch it.
Yeah. Same. To be honest.
I mean, now it's different.
I think aside from, I had a show that I would come home and watch every day after school. In middle school, it was called Code Lyoko. That show's still good. That show's still good. I went back and watched some clips of it. That show's still good. I don't care what anyone says. Whatever the girl in the black's name is, I love her. I would date her and her big ass forehead.
Wifey material.
With that big ass forehead. Not only can you date her, you can grill an egg on her forehead. It's great.
I was surprised to hear my friend Eric was talking to me about it the other day. Apparently it's French. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. It's French weeb shit.
Yeah.
Because they... See, that's my argument, is anything that's done in the anime style that doesn't originate in Japan, that's weeb, right?
Yeah, I watched like a bunch of anime YouTubers, and the most like agreeable thing about anime is that it's anime inspired, or at least anime like it's designed for it to be anime. There's a difference between like yes, it's a cartoon, but there's a distinction between
and I think
styles.
Being heavily marketed towards the United States, or just being heavily marketed outside of Japan, is also something that I would consider weeb shit. I don't consider the TV show where Jesus Christ and Buddha are roommates to be weeb shit, because Christianity is actually very popular in Japan. So that's debatable. However, Devil Part-Timer, I think, is kind of weeb shit.
Oh,
a little bit.
The Devil is a Part-Timer?
Yeah, that's a great
That's
show.
It's a funny it's a good funny
It's
show.
a great show, but it's still weeb shit though.
Yeah. It's,
And you can be
well,
you can be weeb shit and still be good, right?
Mhm.
You're just more mocked by like those traditionalists who are like,
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop's the only good anime that ever existed. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Cowboy Bebop is a good anime. It's not the only good anime though. Or people
Yeah.
who just like
Yeah.
only like anime from like the 80s to the 90s, you know?
But yeah, except they haven't exactly aged well.
Yeah, quite a few. I actually watched the first anime ever a couple months ago.
I was hearing about that. What was it?
It's a 1950s animation called... I don't remember. I have it on DVD on my shelf over there. It's in a green box that I can't see the font on, but I own it. I just hang on. Let me look it up. It's some kind of it's such a weird anime. It's like it's an anime. It's a movie too. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense for it being like. Huh?
Sorry, you like something weird happened with the audio.
Oh.
Go on.
Well, I mean it makes sense considering that was like an initial one. Probably they weren't willing to risk an entire TV.
Okay, maybe
series
I'm
and
wrong.
just-
Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, wait. Is that the film that I'm thinking of? Okay, hold on.
I believe.
I'm hoping this is right. I think I may be wrong. The... Is this it? Yes, this is it. This is the movie. This was, I think, the first colored anime. I think the first anime may have been Astro Boy. Maybe.
I'm not sure. I've heard that one too, but
Or
I think
it could also be Namakura Gatana, aka Blunt Sword. That's the earliest known one. But the first colored one that I watched was The Tale of the White Serpent, which I have on the shelf over there, it's really cutesy, and it's just like... The problem with mine is it only has the English dub, and the English dub is 1950s. Not good. Not good.
Yeah,
not good dub.
anything that isn't like modern English dub, it's just it's like because you know the whole like dub versus sub war.
Mm-hmm.
And just like granted, like 80s, 90s, anything before like the 2000, like late 2000s. Yeah, I'll give it to you that there was really bad.
Hello?
If anything,
There you
the
are,
only
okay.
in a business in the West were people who filmed Disney like films or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I can almost guarantee you that a lot of these people who are like transferring anime movies to America weren't gonna hire.
All right, but
who
I
appeared on
do have
Disney.
to say, Cowboy Bebop has one of the greatest English dubs of all time.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Steve Blum
I
is
mean,
great,
yeah,
dude.
there's-
I love him. He's the
Yeah,
guy who
there's
voices Spike.
Yeah.
And
There's definitely, like,
he also does
outliers.
what's his name? He does Mugen in Samurai Champloo as well.
Yeah.
And he was also in one of the Fear expansion packs. Very randomly, might I add. Like, I heard his voice and I was like, is that Spike? And surely enough, it was. So,
Well, it's not really
Shout
that
out
hard
to
to
him.
believe anymore because, I mean, if you're people who voice act in anime,
oh no, he voice acts constantly.
yeah, voice acting constantly. It's a lot more in today's environment or just like in recent environments. It's just been a lot more natural.
Right.
But
Sorry, had to test something. So wait, what's some of your favorite shows then? We haven't gone over that at all.
I know we've just been
talking
Whatever
about dubs for the last 5 minutes.
I think overall, probably one of my all-time favorites is Code Geass.
True. Very good. Very good.
That's
show.
a very critically acclaimed. I'm a mech nerd.
Mm-hmm.
Just in general, if there's a giant robot and it's designed to murderize thousands of people, I'm on board.
I'm probably there.
Like,
yeah, I'm with
This
it.
is cool.
Real quick before you continue, I'm gonna step away for a second. Just do one of our commercial breaks real quick. Just advertise more of our shit.
have you checked out the merchandise store? We have stuff rating our friends, Chris. We also have a bunch of Tyler stuff. Tyler has a bunch of stuff. I'm not on a t-shirt yet, and I am offended. I've done my time. How many podcasts does it take for me to get some merchandise, huh? I'm just saying.
All right, we're back. Thank God that's over. So,
I'm just saying, okay?
what were you going to get into, by the way?
I was talking about Code Geass. Yeah, it does a really good intro, like, anime for anybody too, except for the fact that I think it's its art style in comparison to recent, I guess, is like it's just a little bit more out there because everyone has like 4-foot long arms and legs,
Right.
and you're just like, wait, what? Faces are right, like their faces and all that are fine, but whenever you see them like stand up, you're just like, why does everybody look like an exaggerated Slenderman? What is going on?
So you bring that up. One of my favorite things is from the Hunt Down the Freeman demo. When they first animated Mitchell's body, his arms were just like longer than his torso. Like his arms were long as shit, and you were just like, oh, what the fuck is anatomy anymore? Who cares? So that was really good. But yeah, I don't know. In terms of anime, I think my favorite show was probably... Ooh, fuck. It's kind of hard because I got to choose between, like, the first anime I saw, a really good horror anime that I know, and Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop's so good, dude, but that's just the normie thing to go with, I guess. Like
that's a classic one of just
it's
being
just
like,
a great
yeah.
anime. Just such a... And that ending is just such gold. What a great ending. Well, great ending depending on how you feel about it, I guess. And also that whole scene, I think, in one of the first few episodes where Spike gets tossed out the window and that music's playing. Oh,
yeah.
God, what a beautiful moment. It's really good. Anyways, moving on. So there's that one, obviously. There's also Yamishibai. Have I talked about that one before?
I don't recall.
Yamishibai is this horror... Japanese horror show. It's an anthology show, so like each episode's a different story, and it just covers a lot of Japanese urban legends and shit. And they tell the animation. So a kamishibai means paper theater in Japan.
Yeah,
and they're these little mobile little theaters that these guys put up, and they have these little paper puppets or whatever that they usually perform for like people on the street and stuff. And Yamishibai is drawn in the style of paper to recreate that style of storytelling with the paper characters, and everything looks like it's very drawn. Yeah. And God, I don't know what happened. Like the first season was great. What a fantastic season. And I remember the second season being okay. The third season was really bad, I think. And then the fourth season was like bad, but it had some redeemable qualities, I believe.
This is what generally happens, though.
And I think the fifth season was just okay. I'd have to look to see what episodes are part of which, but man, it just really sucked. Whenever that show started to go downhill, it's still one of my favorites because that first season is just full of gold. There's this episode, where this guy, he gets on this elevator to leave this mall, and the elevator stops on all these random floors, and they kind of remind me of creepypastas a little bit for us.
Yeah.
And it stops on all these random floors, and there's like he sees this horrific shit on each floor, and then he gets to the bottom. Or the elevator has like one of those people. By the way, I would love this job where this person just stands in this elevator and presses the buttons for people all day.
Oh yeah.
Shouts out to that job. I would do that shit in a hot minute.
Not a valet.
Similar to it, I get an elevator valet. I don't know. But
just an attendant.
But he goes to like grab the person that is doing that job, and she just knocks over, and it turns out she's a mannequin. So then it stops on the floor that he was originally on, and he runs out of it to get out of the elevator.
Yeah.
And then he just hears, "Enjoy your stay," and he looks back and the elevator door is closing, and now that mannequin's standing back up and is like looking at him, and then the lights start going off individually. Oh man, it was such a, I was like, oh god, oh god, like it was so good. I remember I found that show because I was sick, and I stayed home from school, and I needed something to do in 2013, and I stayed home and I watched the whole first season of Yamishibai. Because I was just on Crunchyroll looking for something to fucking watch. And then there was that, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm with it. Man, Oofaroonies, what a wild show. What a wild show.
I'm pretty sure you've watched it, but My Hero Academia, pretty basic to talk about right now, but it is really just it's like just enjoyable. Like, I've been getting tired of like the Western superhero genre. It's it's just been sort of like beaten to death. But like whenever it came out, and at first I was pretty hesitant to watch it. It's just like, oh, it's just a super power show, sort of like just like Dragon Ball Z. I had my fill of that whenever I watched it originally, but just like watching it, it's just enjoyable because there's like none of the common tropes, and also just the fact that the show abides by like having consequences, which is nice. Because that's when I get it. Sorry. That's just what I get annoyed with a lot of anime, though. It's like you see somebody who gets like maimed, and then they're just like, "Oh yeah, he went to go sleep at the hospital for a few days. It's all good." Just like, what?
You bring that up, and that's something I've always had a problem with in the Grand Theft Auto series. Where like in the cutscenes, the guy's like, "Oh, I can't do this. It's too much for me," and then like. In like you go out in the open world and you're running over citizens left and right, and he's like, in the cutscenes he's like, "I'm a good person. I'm not supposed to." It's like, you just what the fuck are you talking about? Do you know what you just did?
I'm you. Maybe you just have to look at it from the angle that you're both you're just a schizo.
Maybe he's just bipolar. He's just like, no, I don't want to kill people. Actually, you know what?
Then the moment he isn't interacting with people, he's just like.
It's just his public face. He's pretending. It's an act. It's all an act.
But I mean, it's just like seriously, the main character in like one of the first fights, or in one of the major fights in like the second season, he goes like all out, but his arm gets all busted up. And it's just like, wow, going all out, even if it's like for a good purpose or whatever, and doing something that broke his arm or broke his hand,
I'd like to apologize
his fingers
for my nephew currently. Keep going. Hi, buddy.
That broke his fingers on multiple occasions. Just allowed him just like, hey, of course his arm is or his hand's going to be messed up.
I'm doing a show right now. Go.
It's just, I don't know. It's refreshing that a show is willing to show like how a character gets scars or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Good night.
Because.
Love you. There he goes.
And like the side character, I forgot his name, but he's like basically just like discount speed, or what is it, Flash, except with engines in his calves.
Right.
And his arm is messed up because he got stabbed in the shoulder. So it's just like it's just good,
I agree. I like.
It's just a role.
Dexter had a really hard time with like acknowledging that shit happened occasionally. Like when he wait, have you seen Dexter at all?
I tried the first few episodes a while ago, but
so at one point he murders an innocent guy on accident, and it's like this huge deal because he has this code that he never murders an innocent person and all this stuff. And then the next episode it's not acknowledged ever again. It's like it didn't even happen. I was like, well, that was pointless. They end on it big time. Like it's where the credits hit, where he's like, oh god, how could I have done something? And the next episode it's like, back to life. Everything's fine.
Yeah,
I just murdered an innocent guy. What do I care? I just chopped his head off with a cleaver. It's fine. I just fucking ISIS'd him. It's okay.
It's just a basic tenet. Like, Yeah, I guess people can supplement it with like your characters just growing episode by episode.
Yeah.
But especially in, like big fighting like shows, it just gets really annoying. Especially like just going back to like Dragon Ball Z, like with sensu beans, it's just basically like, oh, this person got beaten to all recognition.
Right.
Don't worry, we have a heal all, or just like it's any show
Mhm.
that has a MacGuffin now. It's just designed. Oh, everyone's in super danger. Well, never mind.
Shouts out to the MacGuffin. And shout out to Alfred Hitchcock for creating that term. Speaking of sports anime, you just reminded me of Keijo. Remember that show?
What is that?
It's the one where the girls fought with their asses.
Lies.
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Like,
I think it
it's
got
working
canceled.
around.
I think.
Mm.
I miss it. It was a good watch. I think it was like a satire of like the sports anime shows, you know, like making fun of them.
Oh, it's like a yeah. Oh,
God, it was good. Oh, it's so funny. Because they make it seem so serious, but it's just like it's really stupid. But man, it's just a joy to watch. Man, shouts out to Keijo. Bring back another season. I think they canceled it actually. But it has an ongoing manga. I'm pretty sure. So.
I mean,
there's that.
Can live through.
Yeah, can live through the manga. Maybe I'll pick up the manga one of these days. No. I wish Yatsubato. Yeah, Yatsuba. I wish Yatsubato got a fucking anime. It didn't. It never did. It's a great manga. I wish it had an anime, but it doesn't.
Another show that I really enjoyed is I'm looking at my Funimation right now because they're a lot easier to.
It's a lot easier to identify what you enjoy.
Well, no, it's a lot. I'm just looking at it just to just recap on what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
But I just use this particular site just because it's a lot easier to watch English stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna butcher this name, but it's a Tsukigakiri. It's Tsukigakiri.
Hang on, spell it in the Discord, and I'll read it.
But it's as I'm doing that, it's just like I do watch like a lot of like romance anime, except the problem with like a lot of romance anime is that they're just basically non-existent. It's like yeah, but they'll build up to it, and like in the final episode, it's whatever, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But in this show, it just ignores a bunch of the tropes. And like the actual like main couple that everyone's wanting like to get together gets together in like the freaking 7th episode.
Oh man!
It's a 12-episode show.
Oh.
Where in most of these like shows, people won't even like they'll allude to it at the very end. They'll just be like, "Oh, they're walking off in the distance and they reached for each other's hands, so it's all good."
God. No, don't get me started on cliffhanger romances. That's how my first anime ended. Sasamiki Koto. Oh, they had like a phone call at the very end, and then that was it. That was the end of the show. Now, granted, the manga, man, does the manga go much further? Mm-hmm. Like they are having sex in the 12th edition, and I was just like, oh my god, that's.
Is this allowed?
I didn't know it was gonna get that detailed, but I was like, oh man, okay, they are just showing it here in the book. All right, which page does it stop on? So, yeah, and I hope there was nothing story important in there. By the way, shouts out to Sasamiki Koto. What a love it. So much emotion. Go on.
In this show, it's just like it's just a good portrayal of like I don't know, initial like having feelings for other people. Because it's all set up in like the characters are like it's their final year of middle school in Japan. And this is sort of like alluded to be like their first relationship or their first go at relationships.
Those poor souls.
And it does a really good job of emulating of how confusing it really is during that time, because everyone's just like, "Oh, did you see Lucy Liu and Jimmy Jerry
Wow.
get together, and everyone's just like feeling inadequate or
I
whatever.
went to school with someone like that. Jimmy Jerry.
Jerry.
Shouts out to Jimmy Jerry. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's a topic for another day. How weird middle school relationships are. Fuck that. What a terrible time. We're moving on. I don't even want to think about that. So are we gonna move on to? Are we gonna do favorites some more, or should we move on to our another topic?
Oh, whoa, we've already been on an hour with this.
Yeah, I know. We've been on favorite. We could probably do this forever, dude, if we wanted
I know.
to. Should we just cover like the last two mediums, anyways?
Yeah.
Books and music, I assume. All right, let's do it. So, favorite book, what is it?
Favorite book, it's gonna be 40K, but it's a book named Hell's Reach.
Okay.
It's just really well done because in 40K, it's like one of its like big things in its sci-fi is that it has like super soldiers, and they're generically called the Space Marines. Eventually, like the main owners were just like, okay, this is pretty bland.
Right.
We'll call them Adeptus Astartes, and that's their really cool name. And in this book, it's about one of the groups of these Space Marines called the Black Templars. And it's just it's really fascinating because they're supposed to be they're designed to be godlike in the 40K universe. It's like in a lot of sci-fi, humanity always gets screwed over. We're the ones who are like running away from things, but in Warhammer 40K, initially we were the top good dogs. Then we started falling apart. There was like a huge civil war that broke humanity apart. But in that one, because 40K is just basically a fantasy setting set literally like 40,000 years into the future.
Right.
So there's like orcs. They have things called Eldar, which are just basically elves. But in that book, it's about one planet named Armageddon, and it's getting invaded, and it has a tendency of getting invaded by a huge like war group of orcs. And a lot of the time, they're at this point they're prepared for it, and they're just trying to land as many defenses as they can on the planet. Like, it's just really cool how it details all the scenarios, just this huge, large-scale warfare that that's like a lot of places don't even really touch. They're talking about like its entire like the solar system. They're talking about how long they can keep like the space, or like their fleets can keep the space under control, and that's only for like approximately 3 days. Whereas the actual ground forces, who will be like holding out in sieges, will have to go for like months at a time.
Right.
And it's just really good. The main character, he's a space marine, but at the same time he's like there's a problem in some of their books where you just feel disconnected because they're not like us whatsoever.
Right.
They're just really they're hyper focused and designed for war. They don't really have that much of a personality. They don't have like a favorite TV show or whatever that you can relate to.
It's like the Gears of War characters.
So yeah,
they're just.
But like the main character is that he gets promoted because his like mentor dies and he takes his place, but he's forced to undertake like the ground control where it's pretty much assuredly that he's going to die.
Right.
So he's angry at his order for like throwing him there, and don't we all feel like we get thrown under the bus sometimes at work or whatever?
Yeah, every day of my life.
But but like at the very beginning at the book, he says he's gonna die there. That's what's gonna happen, is that he's just gonna die. And spoilers for the book, but at the very end, it turns out because there's only 100 of his people there, or like space marines there, and then at the very end, him, aside from a few other humans, he is the sole survivor of all his brothers. And it's just really well done, like just how he does his best to try to defend the city or whatever, and going through like the painful months. There's a really good part in the book where because the way that space marines are sort of like made is that they have like an organ that allows them to be genetically enhanced, basically, and they have to collect it and then they re-implant it into another person to create more of them. And that's really important. And it's like like there's a time skip where it's like a few months into the siege, and it's just like 3 pages of just listing numerous space marines and how they died, and whether or not they were or that organ was recovered or not.
Right.
And it's just like, geez, it's just like these are supposed to be characters that.
Lot of stuff to go into.
Yeah.
Oh man, all the pressure.
I think it's just basically like, because even in like what they're supposed to represent to humanity themselves, it's supposed to be like they're supposed to be like the pinnacle. Nothing's it's going to be able to overcome them. And as the reader, you get that sense too. But then you just feel like the attrition on them too. Where you're just like, oh, then it's not just another mindless violence heavy thing. It's they're dying, and it's really actually tragic.
Right.
It's just really enjoyable.
It's a lot of fun. Now that's a Warhammer book, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, is it like really lore heavy? Would I need to know a lot about?
There might be some stuff
going.
It'll be, yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Am I like
because there's some
stuff when I go into reading it?
Yeah, there's gonna be some stuff where you're just like not really too sure what they're talking about.
You're like, oh yeah, I know about
like
that.
They'll talk about like their Primarch, and I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be able to.
No.
Their Primarch
I'd probably have to get more into it.
I mean, if anything, the original trilogy, like the Gateway, sort of is using the first 3. They have a series called the Horus Heresy, and its first 3 books are really good,
right?
And they're also sort of the contesting for that, but those are a really good entryway into Warhammer.
Interesting.
Because it's sort of it basically introduces you into like the main plot of what happens and why everything happened.
You remember that Cody Ko guy that we talked about on here the other day? He had the mixtapes.
Yeah.
That great joke. He's really into the Warhammer 40K stuff, apparently, because he talked about it on his podcast about how he used to collect the figurines.
Oh, the miniatures?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he talked about really how the first time he really saved money was to buy the glue and this huge figurine that was like $75. It was like a dragon or some shit. And yeah, he saved up his money when he was like, I think he was like 13 when he did that.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
He's probably into Warhammer fantasy. That's like traditional like elves and whatever.
Right.
But yeah, the figurines in Warhammer are killer. They're like a single squad of like traditional space marines. That's like $60.
Right.
And to be fair though, it's also like a wargaming thing. So
right. Yeah, I've seen some of what it is. So I have like I have an inkling understanding of what it is. So shout out to some of my favorite books. War of the Worlds is one of them. Great book. Psycho, the book, not the movie.
I ruined that book for my friends.
Yeah? Oh no.
My friend, he bought it, and then I started reading it. And I did voices. And whenever it got to the mom, I did like a really like pruny voice. Yeah.
No, man.
I just said like everything moist, and I was just like, or no, I was like, oh, I did like a high pitched, too happy voice, and they just couldn't.
Yeah, isn't it astounding how different Norman is in the book from how Alfred Hitchcock makes him up in the movie?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because he's played by a good-looking Anthony Perkins, very nice-looking boy in the movie, which is great because you never suspect him of doing anything.
Yeah.
But in the novel, he's like this fat, ugly, fucking piece of shit cunt that nobody likes.
I suppose it's more realistic, but
yeah,
I guess it's just I guess a lot more tragic or like humanizing.
There's a lot more of a twist when you see Anthony Perkins as the killer, though. People are like, what? Who?
Yeah.
They when that movie came out, they wouldn't allow people to enter the theater after it had started. And they like practically begged people not to tell anyone the twist of the movie when it was in theaters. Like Alfred Hitchcock was like, remember, don't tell anyone about the twist of the movie. Was that a good Alfred Hitchcock? That felt like a good Alfred Hitchcock impression.
Back then, I mean, it
Don't
was
forget
you.
to thank
Back
the staff.
Back
For
then,
that
I think it's a lot more. You could believe it's more believable.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the moment if someone did that,
Shout out to Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Sorry, it's good. It is a good movie. It really is. So
if they did that though in like today's modern landscape, everyone would just be like, "What? You what? You're gonna tell me? You trying to tell me what to do? I'm on Twitter right now."
Oh yeah, you can't. Spoilers today can't be avoided as easily as they could back then.
I apologize. I'll be right back again.
No, you're good. I'm just gonna talk about another book. Another book I wanted to talk about was this book called Traum Novel by Arthur Schnitzelizer. It's a German book, I believe, actually. And if you've ever read, or if you've ever seen the movie Eyes Wide Shut, you know this book because that's what Eyes Wide Shut was based off of. Excuse me. And it's just a really great read. Excuse me. Imagine Eyes Wide Shut in a different time period. And that's what Traum Novel is. So, it's about this doctor character. I can't remember any of the names because they were all foreign as fuck. But there's essentially this lead character who is like a doctor, who is Tom Cruise's character in the picture. And then there is Nicole Kidman's character, who is the wife. And it's all about how his wife like had a fantasy about this this man that they came across while they were on vacation. And the husband's feeling kind of betrayed by the whole situation. Like, how could you, think about being with someone that isn't me? So the man sets out to try to achieve a similar feeling with someone else. And he ends up getting himself into this horrible situation. And throughout the novel, you kind of got to question, like, if he's in a dream or if he's in reality, and like if this is all a fantasy and that kind of thing, which you kind of have to do with the movie Eyes Wide Shut as well. So it's one of those up to interpretation things where it's all you have to figure out this, that, and the other of what this, that, and the other is, and so on and so forth. But it's a really good read. It's super interesting, just like to think about. It really opens up the question of like what love is, and you kind of got to question like, do these two people love each other if they have such spiteful feelings towards each other, I guess, in secret. So that Traum Novel is a really good book that you need to check out if you haven't already. I've got tons of books over there that I could go over there and look. I'm currently reading. I'm still reading "Touching from a Distance" by Deborah Curtis, the sort of biography about Ian Curtis and his life with Joy Division and all that. I'm trying to think of what the book that I read before that was. It's probably in my Amazon list. Just let me open up my Amazon real quick and it'll show me. Because I've only ever bought books through Amazon, pretty much. So let me look. Oh yeah, of course. The Shadow Knows. This great book by Diane Johnson. She helped co-write The Shining with Stanley Kubrick. The Shadow Knows is about this. I've talked about it on the podcast before because it has to do with the script that I'm writing now. But it's about this woman who is being harassed by this unknown caller. And it sort of thrives on the concept of like what paranoia is, and just that kind of thing. It's just really interesting. It's just a great read. It's a great read. Diane Johnson writes paranoia so well. It is impressive to the degree in which she is able to write this paranoid character, because that's the perspective that we read from the whole time. Is from the perspective of the woman who's being harassed by this caller and whatnot. So it's all very interesting, and it's worth checking out if you haven't already. So give that a read. Hopefully Tim will return.
I
There he
apologize.
is.
Had to do some family stuff.
Man, I am just really good at this, talking for everything. So I brought up 2 books, Traum Naval and The Shadow Knows, which we already talked about The Shadow Knows on the last podcast, but Traum Naval is this great book. I already explained it, so I'm not going to explain it again, but you need to read it. It's a German book as well. Or was it like Hungarian? I don't know. Either way, it was foreign. And it's also the book that inspired Eyes Wide Shut. So it's definitely worth a check out if you ever get the opportunity. So shouts out to that book. There we go.
I'm trying to think though, real quick, of a book that isn't 40K because it's all I ever read.
Oh no!
Trust me, if you look at my own personal library, you would find that there's a pretty common trend.
There's a distinction of 40K in here.
Not
Smells
too
like
sure.
40K.
I will. Okay, it's a Halo book, like the video game series Halo. That book actually had some really good stories in it. There was one where it was about a Spartan who was deformed.
Right.
And it's like him learning to cope with trying to
Being a
get
freak.
away from his past, getting away from his past life. He fights another actual Spartan too.
Right.
But it's about him just trying to escape, and he does actually. And it's a little heartfelt or whatever. There's another one. Were you ever big into the Halo series?
Not super, but I've played.
There was one about actually not like the main Spartans. Actually, it was about like human soldiers. There's things called ODST.
Right. Yeah, I know about that.
Yeah, they're like shock troopers.
Mm-hmm.
But it was actually a really cool one where it was going through the life of how he turned from like regular regular Marines into becoming a ODST. Then his old team trying to do a heist and trying to get away from the war.
Right.
And he chooses to stop them. And it's just really interesting because in Halo it's always the center it's the big war and everything's going on. But in this book it's just you didn't think that, I don't know, would you think that a heist would be one of the first things you think about be involved in a Halo story?
Wow. Yeah, no, probably not.
And I think the only other memorable one on that one, there was a story about a Marine.
Hi, Alexis. Welcome to the podcast. Go on.
There is a Marine, and he basically gets cured of cancer, but he's out for a while. And he wakes up to find out that his ship got stormed by the Covenant. So now he's
when that happens.
and he has to get out of it, except he doesn't. He blows up the ship. Spoiler alert.
Oh damn. Sounds like what I do in the first place.
But it was just I don't know, it's just really cool. It was really interesting. And
cool.
Like I said, that heist story was just it was just really well done too. You were really invested in the guy.
I can dig it, dude. I can get behind this. So, I'm going to move us on to favorite music now.
Ooh.
We have not even gotten off our first topic yet.
I know.
Go ahead. Let's just do albums. That'll help narrow it down, yeah.
Let me. It's basically Eden's newest album. Eden.
Oh,
He's
right.
Yeah. Alternative. His newest album I really enjoy. I just enjoy his sound. That he's just it's alternative and it's mostly sort of like electronic but it's just really good. He's a really amazing singer. Start End is one of my favorite songs.
Right. Okay. So what's the album? What's the title of it?
Let me see.
Well, while he's looking that up, just gonna shout out my favorite album real quick. Tyler McAllister's Depression Days just came out in April, and you can get it for free at tylermcallister.bandcamp.com. He also has other music on there that you can check out and purchase, and so on and so forth. Alexis says I love him, so I assume she's referring to Tyler McAllister's Depression Days.
No,
Eden.
Eden's
Alexis,
awesome.
are you talking about Eden, or are you talking about Tyler McAllister's Depression Days? One of the greatest albums to come out in 2018.
Eden.
Fun fact. Actually, never mind. That probably wouldn't be a pro. I was about to say, fun fact. Tom McAllister's Depression Days killed Stephen Hawking. That's probably not a good
Vertigo.
thing.
Vertigo is his latest album.
I thought you were referencing the Alfred Hitchcock film, which is really good, might I add. You love Jimmy Stewart. He's a great actor. So, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah, Eden. Vertigo. Eden's Vertigo, yep. And Tom McAllister's Depression Days. Can I actually talk about my album on here as one of my favorites? Because it actually is. I actually really do enjoy my own album quite a lot. Just because, like, I don't know. I guess there's definitely a connection to that album that I have to have because I made it.
Well, yeah.
Worked on it for, I think I worked on that for like 2 months, dude. I had 8 songs.
I mean, if you're not fond of your own music, then...
That's what I always say. And also, Alexa said yes. She's referring to my music, so fuck you.
She just said yes! I'm looking at it right now.
Alexis, Tyler McAllister or Eden? Which one are you talking about? Well, good to know that you're looking at the chat, too. Are you looking at the Twitch page right now?
Yeah, I'm just looking at
cool.
It's playing on my phone right now.
Oh, okay, cool. I was wondering where that 5th view was coming from.
Well, no, actually, it was 5 views whenever I got in.
Oh, wow, look at us go. Holy shit. Dude, we're rising up in the world. What the fuck? Anyways, yeah, back to, with that. The main thing that I was told when I told Jeff Rosenstock that I wanted to make music, he was like, just make sure you just make sure you're making what you love. Or make sure you enjoy making music, because if you don't, you're not going to, there's no point.
Yeah.
There's no reason to.
Yeah.
And I completely agree. If you don't enjoy doing a certain art form, why should you do it?
Yeah, that's...
Why waste your time?
Commonplace.
If you're just making art for money, then you're a piece of shit, first off. And secondly...
Yeah, I totally agree. Even in the medium of writing, if I wouldn't release something if I didn't myself enjoy it.
Well, I'm glad you like it both, Alexis.
What a sellout! Shelling out!
Hey, sellout's one of the topics we're going to talk about today. But, see, that was the interesting thing with Kurt Cobain, is he really... He loved playing music, but he didn't want to be famous for it. And I think that's definitely something that probably drove him to his death, most likely, or his incredible heroin usage.
Maybe a combination
or
of
his
the both.
Shotgun chugging Olympics.
God damn it.
I had to get some edge in there, okay? Kurt Cobain, it's already edgy in itself.
If there isn't a suicide joke about whenever you're talking about Kurt Cobain
or Ian Curtis,
then what are you even doing?
Yeah, you're wasting your time. But yeah, and Nirvana's debut album is one of my favorite records of all time. So there's one of my favorite records out there instantaneously. Shouts out to Nirvana's Bleach. I have it on vinyl over there. I have all 3 of their main records on vinyl. In Utero was great, which, by the way, I pronounced wrong for the longest time. I called it In Utero for the longest time, because I never thought of it as, like, utero when I looked at it, you know? But anyways, so...
If there isn't anybody to correct you, you're going to keep saying it, and then you're going
Oh, no.
so dumb.
Believe me. You run into a fan, and they're like, what did you say? I'm like, I'm sorry. No, please. It just immediately hit you. Suddenly you're in a UFC cage, and you're like fighting, so you're like, what the hell? When did I get here? This is your brain on Nirvana. No,
God damn.
So yeah, well, those are definitely some of my favorite records. Shouts out to Jeff Rosenstock's, just every Jeff Rosenstock album, from I Look Like Shit to Post. I've loved every album that man's put out so far, but specifically, I want to shout out the second half of Worry, because on that album, on the second half of it, like the final few songs, every one of them segues into the next one.
Oh.
So... It's just impressive as fuck, dude. The way he makes it seamlessly transition into the next song. And I've shown it to people, they don't even notice when the song changes because the transitions are that good. Like
that's always enjoyable.
it's a great record.
Cool. That's just cool.
And he's done that throughout his career, but it's like I think it's like 6 tracks in a row that just like flow seamlessly. And that's the entire rest of the record too. And whenever he plays it live, they play it like that. Like it just flows seamlessly. They play those 6 tracks one after the other without stopping. And it's the most impressive thing I've ever gotten to witness in my life. I'm so happy to have gone to Jeff Rosenstock shows. They're incredible. And I also want to shout out Post as well, which is his newest album, which he dropped with no advertisement. There was no announcement he was even working on a new album. It just dropped January 1st because he wanted to start off the new year with a new record. And he did exactly that. So I woke up on January 1st, and all my Jeff Rosenstock friends were like, hey, new record. And I was like, what? New record? No, this is impossible. I'm dreaming.
Nani?
Nani? Oh my wa. New album, Deru. What? Wait, that's not how the quote goes. Jeff. No. But yeah, and that album slams. USA slams, Your Throat slams, Beating My Head Against the Wall slams, 9 times out of 10 slams, fucking TV Stars slams. What a good album. And if you want to hear, if you want to hear where my inspiration for Depression Days came from, listen to Post, because I started working on Depression Days after I got back from one of his concert in Dallas in March. So I really only worked on Depression Days for like a month or so. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's adequate, you know? So adequate!
You just got a great discography. Listen to Post. Listen to every Jeff Rosenstock album ever put out. From 1997 to now. Listen to them.
No bias whatsoever.
Oh yeah, absolutely none. I hate the guy. No, but
we got that on a record.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna press the vinyl. Hell yeah. And also check out his Bomb the Music Industry stuff too, of course. Because that's also really good. Actually, if you want to listen to every single Bomb the Music Industry album at the same time, there's a YouTube video for that. I made it.
Oh my!
Self-promotion.
We listened to it.
That was awful. But yeah, out of the Bomb Music Industry albums, though, Scrambles is probably my favorite. It's probably because sadder, weirder, it shits, cold chillin', young body, young attitude. Just almost every album. $2,400,000. Oh, what a great song! That song fucking gets my heart every time it gets towards the end. There's this really emotional part towards the end of that song, and it's just like. The lyric is like, I don't want to talk because you don't understand. I just wanted something that wasn't prepackaged and wasn't pre-planned. I was like, oh, my heart. Damn. I can go on about records all day. I can talk about records all day. Let me tell you. You go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry. I just talked about 30 records just now. So
you're all good.
You go ahead, and then I'll interject again with 30 more records, I'm sure.
Let's see. I will say that just overall let me see. What was the album name again? Why are you okay? Let's see.
We're not talking about Vertigo still?
No. There's another there's an artist named Caravan Palace, and they have an album called Stuff. I can tell you that. Oh, well, their album is an emoticon, so it's hard to. It's hard to.
Colon. Parenthesis.
It's
Wait, you cut out.
It's less than bracket.
Okay, never mind. It's
Yeah,
that kind of
but
stuff. Go on.
It's just basically an emoticon,
Right.
and you know that the album in its entirety, it's just really good for just chilling. It's just a really nice. It has some nice beats. It's like
Right.
it's in the subgenre of electric swing, which is like just modern, just using more modernized beats to an older sounding tone,
Right.
and it's just enjoyable. There's like 3 songs on that like album that I just can just like listen to, and just they're just calming, and it's just really enjoyable. It's like one of those albums like earlier. It's just one of those things where usually whenever I listen to music, it's inspiration for me. It helps me envision stuff. That's what I use music for.
Right.
And then those, it's not like I don't really worry about that. I'm just listening to it, and I just groove along with the beat, and I'm just chilling. There ain't no worrying.
Hell yeah. See, I feel like, so me and my mom, we disagree pretty heavily on music. I think, because she listens to my music and she's like, I just don't like it when they start yelling. And I get where she's coming from, but in my opinion, we'll bring my mom on here one day so we can debate music live. But in my opinion, she's watching this, so she's gonna shit talk the hell out of me later. In my opinion, I don't think music needs to be pretty all the time. I think music just needs to be a reflection of whatever the artist is feeling. So if you want to yell in your music sometimes because you fucking... One of my favorite lines that I heard recently, which is from the song 15 Minutes by the Broadways, is, I'm not crazy, I'm just frustrated. And, man, I just love the Broadways. That's another band that I want to talk about. They have one album. They released one album, and then they broke up. Yeah. It's that situation again. This is a new band that I just found a few days ago. Same thing happened. Luckily, they broke up like 20 fucking years ago, so I can't be that mad. But
Rip.
they released their album, Broken Star, with a ton of great tracks on it, just front to back, great songs. But I guess like the band members just didn't really get along, from what I'm gathering, which you can kind of tell like in some of the songs, like in the song "Ben Moved to California." At the very end, I love the end lyrics because it's like, "If I see you again, would you still be my friend?" And then this other guy cuts in, and this is how the song ends. So it's like, "If I see you again, will you still be my friend? No." That's how it ends. I was like, oh my god, that's such a good song too, man. I love just great. Great stuff. What a great album. And they just break up immediately. And the weird thing is they like split in half, and like 2 band members went into a band together, and the other 2 band members went into another band together. So it's like they literally just split in half and went into... I don't like their other other stuff. Listen to Lil Peep. Have we talked about him on here yet? We talked about Lil Pump. You know, Mr. Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang.
Yeah.
All my bill do cocaine. I'm 17 and I need Rogaine.
I don't think I've really heard much in the realm of
I had his new single recommended to me recently. Whatever, he's dead. So it was released post. What is it called when they release stuff after death? Posthumous.
Postmortem. I don't know.
I think posthumous and postmortem work. I think postmortem is just a more
technical term.
a term used by.
I think that's actually referring to their body.
Yeah, I think that's more talking about, I think posthumous is what it is. So posthumous is whatever track he released after his death was recommended to me. Alexis, where should we start in the Lil Peep discography? Because from the outside looking in, he's never really... I've heard some of his stuff like play in the background at parties sometimes, but I've never been... interested enough to actually listen to him, and I don't even think that's an insult to him. I just couldn't be fucked. So we're gonna move on from favorites finally. Fucking hour and a half in. That's just how you know it was a good discussion. I want to talk about selling out.
Oh boy.
Sellouts. How do you define a sellout? What is a sellout? Who is a sellout? Are you a sellout? Am I a sellout? How do you define a sellout? I had this discussion in a parking lot the other day, so I wanted to bring it here to the podcast in a more official setting. Listen to his older stuff. Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna give him a chance after the podcast. Actually, I'll just go listen to Lil Peep for hours on end. So, sellouts. What is a sellout?
In like a Puritan way, I guess it's just whenever you just forsake your own.
Go on.
Whenever you forsake your own original like thought process and passion, and just reach for tried and true methods, just for the sake of trying to garner it popularity.
Right.
I guess that's my definition of selling out.
My definition of selling out is when you're a sellout fuck. When you've got 17 people writing a song for you, or when you don't make music that you enjoy, you make music that is popular. You're like, I'm everyone's into trap now. Well, I guess I'm a trap artist. It's like what happened to fucking Linkin Park, dude. What the fuck happened to them, right? Their biggest album was that just hard rock, just kind of music, and then you listen to their latest album and you're like, oh man. I mean, Chester Bennington went and killed himself, which makes talking about them a little awkward, but it just, I don't know. Fuck.
There was some interest. I think there once really enjoyed.
All right.
I enjoyed Heavy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've heard Heavy is pretty good. I've heard quite a few people playing that song.
There was one song that I enjoyed from their new, like the actual. I forgot what it was, and I'm not gonna be bothered to look through my YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like looking at stuff where, in a sense, they probably. I mean, they were just trying to catch up with the times, and I do understand that people had to like do that. I guess
have to update sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, you update. But I mean, there's a clear difference whenever you're, like I didn't actually listen to the album, so to its full entirety.
Can an artist like change their style though, without being considered a sellout?
Yeah,
because a lot of people call Jeff Rosenstock a sellout because he stopped doing ska music, and he's got an entire song about it. Because he was in the Arrogant Sons of Bitches for a long time, and then they broke up. And he created Bomb the Music Industry. And on the album Goodbye Cool World, he actually has a song where I think he talks about how he left the Arrogant Sons of Bitches. It's called Fuck the Fans. And in the song, he says, you don't like me anymore because I'm not in a successful semi-regional punk rock band anymore. And I was just like, damn. Because, people had to have been making him feel that. And I see, like, comments sometimes where I think people throw around the term sellout too loosely. Like you, especially.
What? What?
Anytime I go to advertise something, you're like, shilling, sellout, fuck. It's like, what? I need to make money, Tim.
That's memeing.
I need to make money, Tim. I'm a fucking college student.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you are. I'm memeing back at you right now. You can. Oh God.
Then where does the meme start?
Yeah, where does it end? Is the question. It doesn't. It never ends. No. What I'm sort of referring to is, on Jeff Rosenstock's video for Blast Damage Days, he had his friend Chris Farron dress up as a Mountain Dew bottle, because the theme throughout the video was that Jeff was best friends with this Mountain Dew bottle. And they would drink Mountain Dew together, and then they would and then they've like faded apart. But all you need to know is that he there was Mountain Dew imagery throughout the video, and so a lot of people got in the comment section like, "You got sponsored, you sell out, fuck," and I'm like, "Oh my God, holy shit!" That's not what selling out is. Just making money is not selling out, you guys. Believe me. Like,
it's just intent, really.
Yeah, and he changed. I prefer post ska Jeff for sure, where he only does ska occasionally. But I can see where you get upset that he doesn't do ska anymore. But I hate to break the news to you guys, but Jeff's not the only ska artist in the world.
Yeah,
you can find other ska. believe me, and
Right.
your life will be fine. I don't even like ska
Right.
that much, and I know there's a lot of ska out there. So, yeah, I don't
Like,
know.
in the sense is like, I think one of the good like examples of just like an artist being able to smoothly at least change genre is I think Panic at the Disco.
Oh yeah. Oh man,
Because
they went
I mean,
flawlessly in and
yeah.
out of genres.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
yeah.
you. Well, I mean, I guess it also stands that like they never really stuck to one genre though.
Yeah.
It's also their sort of thing, but they never really you never really see people like yelling their sellouts just because. I mean, look at their newer stuff and then look at like some of the stuff that got them famous. I'm pretty sure if you showed like a fan in 2008 what their music is right now, they would be like, "What?"
I feel like they just like they're more accepted for trying new things because they're really good at it.
Mhm.
They're really good at like breaking into new styles and stuff. But like when you have, I'm trying to think, like Rancid, for example. For me, I love their debut album. I love Let's Go. I feel like everything after that is them trying to get on the radio.
Yeah.
And I don't, which is like, if I ever sound like I'm trying to make music to get on the radio, I've sold out. I'm a sellout fuck now. Just realize that, because that's not, I don't care about, obviously I want to make money off of my music, right?
Yeah.
But I don't want to sacrifice my artistic vision for that. Which I feel like is what happens to a lot of people. People are just like, oh, fuck it. Sure, I'm this now.
There's nothing wrong with like trying to experiment or whatever, but there's a clear there's distinction between like hearing one of their like actual heartfelt songs that you know that they spent hours upon hours just trying to write and produce, and then compared to something that like they literally just took like one of the most generic guitar sequences, made a really catchy beat, and then they said some lyrics.
Can we talk about the biggest sellout fucks?
Ooh.
The Paul brothers. Logan and Jake Paul. Can we talk about these sellout fucks?
Yeah, that's like pinnacle.
That is the prime example of a sellout fuck right there. Let me tell you.
Like, everything they do is dictated by what will work.
Okay, so I never heard of Logan or Jake Paul until Everyday Bro came out. And I was like, all right, I'm going to give this a chance, you know? And he came on there and was like, it's Everyday Bro with the Disney Channel flow. And I was like, what in the fuck
that was,
am I watching?
Yeah,
that
was just disgusting.
And the thing with that situation is they went down there and wrote, like, we wrote this song, produced it, and filmed it all in one day. And I'm like, that's not hard. That's not fucking difficult.
Well,
I produce songs
whenever
in one
all
day.
of you are just like seemingly jumping around to a decent beat and driving around,
it's not like it was a complex music video.
Yeah,
Like
I don't.
And it's not like the song was hard to make.
Mm-hmm.
You just go on buyrapbeats.com.
They're
You rapped over that. You threw some auto tune on it, and you fucking vomited it onto a music video. Like,
their most recent stuff though is even like morbid because they will just like literally take breaks in the middle of the to like promote their shirts.
their fucking merch. Buy that.
Yeah, their merch.
Merch. Buy that.
Yeah,
merch.
yeah.
They have entire songs about it.
It's just
I've
like,
never done that. I talk about my stuff a lot, but I've never written a song about buying my stuff.
And written is really like quotation marks.
And then he tries to pretend that he's like, oh, I'm not doing it. Well, Jake tries to pretend that he's not doing it seriously. He's like, oh, I'm just doing it for fun. I don't think I'm like a good rapper or anything. But like, whatever, dude. Whatever you say. Logan Paul's music wasn't as bad, but I also feel like his is more fabricated.
Yeah.
Than Jake Paul's is. At least Jake Paul is like a little bit raw on his stuff. But like with Logan, I'm just like, you didn't sing this.
Auto-tune.
You didn't. This isn't you. You didn't produce this. You guys paid someone. You got a ghostwriter, don't you, dude? That's something I can't stand. That's something that bothers people who don't write their own music. I can't. I mean, if a lot of my friends have came up to me and were like, hey, I've got some poems. I was wondering if you could make them into songs. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Hell yeah, I'll do that. And that's different. That's a different situation.
That's like assisting. Yeah.
But when you got like 20 people writing a song and you're not even one of those 20 people, I'm looking at you, Beyonce. Shots. I'm just saying, man. Like, I don't know. There's something super sellout about that. It's like you have the money to pay 20 people to write a song. Like, you obviously had to have some kind of talent to get here, right?
Yeah.
Like, say what you want about Kanye. He writes his own songs, right?
Yeah.
Like,
he does his own thing.
He definitely, and he produces his beats. Like, he is a hell of a producer. Instrumentally, that dude has... I don't know if he actually sees sounds, but he can produce music. Have you seen that interview where he talks about how he can see sounds?
All I know is about my dragon energy synchronizing with your dragon energy.
Thank you, Draven.
It has fire truck.
Yeah.
It's Draven.
Yeah, welcome Draven to the podcast. Yeah. Love you, buddy. Good night.
Oh, familia.
There he goes. All right. Well, what were we talking about again?
The Pauls.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. Let's change the subject. So moving on to the next subject. So, live music versus like the studio versions of music. So, here's my whole deal. I feel like seeing a band live is a great way to get you to listen to their music.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like you should put out the studio music first.
Yeah.
Because recently there was this oddity. Remember, you know Hobo Johnson, right?
Yeah.
And his Peach Scone video, where he did like a live performance of his song Peach Scone. And then he released the studio version. It sucked ass in comparison to the live version.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And his excuse is like, oh, but the live version's supposed to be more emotional and whatnot. And I'm like, yeah, but I think you should give us what we like in the studio version as well, right?
Yeah.
So I found a number of bands that I really enjoy by seeing them live. I think it's a great way to find bands that you like, is seeing them live. Especially because a lot of artists are much better live than they are in the studio. Like Chris Farron, for example, that dude is a fucking experience when he's playing live. He comes down into the audience. He's up there. He's got all these lights strung up around, like fucking Christmas lights wrapped around his guitar and shit, dude. It's absolute fucking madness.
Well, also the thing about like live shows though, like whenever they're doing a performance show or whatever, it's a lot more like. There's a lot more like stuff that might go on. They might throw in like different lyrics or whatever. I noticed that there's people who'll do with different things with the song.
Oh yeah.
And having like a live version first, and not having a studio version first, you don't set a precedent.
Oh yeah. And I feel like having a studio version first is really important too, because one of my favorite things that I can't wait to do when I perform live is when people know the lyrics to my songs. And are like singing along while I'm on the stage, so that I don't actually have to sing part of my songs. I would love that.
Yeah.
Because playing and singing is very difficult. I don't think people realize how difficult it is to play guitar and sing at the same time.
Yeah.
People who do it professionally, they make it look easy. It's not easy. It sucks. It's fucking hard. All right.
You gotta split your attention.
Exactly. Yeah. Because your body's your part of your body's doing one thing, and then the other part of your body's got to do the other, and you got to focus on both at the same time. It's very difficult. But yeah, like Roswell Kid, for example, I was not into until I saw them live. And maybe that had something to do with the fact that I met them afterwards and they're like great guys, but I'm much more into their music now. That's another album I could recommend, by the way. Precious Art by Roswell Kid. Fucking great. But seeing them live, I was just like, I didn't know who they were. I'd never listened to their music. I was like, I'm just waiting for Jeff to get on stage. Which one of my favorite, you know how bands have like banners that they hang behind them when they play live? And shit?
Yeah.
Roswell Kid's banner said Jeff's up next. So shouts out to them for just having that. And even at the show, he said, has anyone here heard of us before? And the room was just like. And he was like, hell yeah, that's cool too. And they just played. He was great. Jordan's great, dude. I love those guys, yeah. But Should one overpower the other, or should they be equally great? Do you think?
I'm not too sure because I mean, studio is something that you'll constantly be able to pull up and recall.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whenever I went to Warped last year, I really enjoyed myself, and there were a lot of good bands, but it's a memory that I can like hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that overall there's just like more merit in the live version.
I think live sessions are getting a lot easier to come by too.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's this company called Little Elephant, who they bring artists in and they perform live for them, and they press their live sessions to vinyl actually.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can own a live version on vinyl, which is something that I think is a lot more rare now. You don't see that a whole lot anymore. Let me see who they have on their, because they have a YouTube channel where they post all of these live sessions, like the videos of it. So let's check out Chris Farron real quick. A little bit of music. He doesn't have his, and he doesn't have any of his lights in this one though, and that's kind of what's so interesting about his sets is the amount of fucking lights, and just like, man, yeah, it's just wild to see him live, and he's just such a nice guy too. I love meeting Chris Farron. So he has this whole gimmick where at the end he's like, and another perfect set by Chris Farron. He makes sure to say that it's a perfect set because everything Chris Farron does is perfect. And so I came up to him after the show, after his set, and I was like, "Hey Chris, how are you doing?" He's like, "I'm doing good. How are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I just saw a perfect set by Chris Farron, so I'm doing pretty good." And he was like, "Oh, did you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Congratulations." He's just a joy, just such a nice guy, just really humble and just kind. And he sat there and actually listened to me talk instead of just being like, "Yeah, buy your fucking merch and get the fuck out of here." Like, we had a conversation. He was such a nice guy. And so was Laura Stevenson. She's a sweetheart. I don't listen to her music as much as I should. I'm not as big of a fan of it, but she is like great. So shouts out to Laura Stevenson. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we covered that topic pretty hard. So good on us. What is
Another
left?
one down.
Oh, there's one left.
The final topic.
Revamps.
I guess this is just like going back into the whole movie thing, but Jesus, I just so like also I guess in the video game industry too is that there's just so much like shelling out stuff, and it's just getting annoying.
Like what?
Movies. I need to pull up some, but there's just been so many remakes of older movies and trying to readapt them into newer ones,
right.
And it's just getting so tiring because it's just blatant cash grabs.
Yeah. Man, I've had this discussion since 2011. So it's just a thing I think we're always gonna have to put up with. You know, I think we've always put up with remakes though. Like a lot of people don't know that Scarface is a remake.
True.
I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that we don't realize, and it's cool that you're able to like remake things and bring them to
It's when you put it's when you just take something and you just make it as it already is.
Yeah.
That's when I'm like, that's boring. That's not fun. Like with the Nightmare on Elm Street or the Friday the 13th remakes, like all the slasher horror remakes, I feel like the Texas Chainsaw Massacres are probably the best horror remakes that have been done, just because they just do something new, you know.
Yeah, they change things up.
Yeah, they're just more they just make it more interesting, I guess, than like how a Nightmare on Elm Street or the Friday the 13th, which have a formula and they stick to it is the problem. Like, you got to change it up if you're gonna do a remake. Like when they remade Scarface, you know, the original is from 1932. So when they remade it in 1980, they updated it, and that's the thing. You got to update it, which even that can help you sometimes, but you got to change it in some way that distinguishes it. It keeps it true to what you're trying to remake, but you also distinguish it as its own thing, right?
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people were really pissed off with Max Payne 3, because
True.
I feel like it's not a good Max Payne game, but it's an alright game, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't like that they changed the setting. I don't like that they changed Max Payne a lot. But I as a game by itself, I'm like, yeah, this is fine. It plays fine. The story's fine. Whatever. The humor's fun. I can dig it. But
It's just
you just gotta, you gotta stray just a little bit from what we traditionally know, but not so far that we're not going to enjoy it when you can't make it a new thing entirely, because otherwise you're gonna fuck it up and no one's gonna like it.
yeah.
But if you stay too close to it, we're gonna be bored.
It's just it would just be an interesting conversation though. This in the realms of game, because most I guess re-releases is more
Oh god.
appropriate term.
Oh god.
There's like updating textures, but
You guys want another Skyrim? I bet you do.
but like would it be? Do you think it would be acceptable though to change a game up after like just trying to like re-release it or like revamp it? Like
Debatable.
say if they changed some things up in the original BioShock whenever they just recently released the remastered editions.
Like, what kind of changes are we talking here?
I'm not sure. Like, just I mean, I guess they can't really do much like too plot eccentric to change it up, but like
oh no, they couldn't.
I
do
guess
that.
adding mechanics or whatever, updating the base gameplay.
It'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be an interesting thing to do. I guess. See, that's the thing though. Whenever you talk about remastering something,
Mm-hmm.
we just expect you to. I don't know, because I guess if they were to like remaster Half-Life, would they make the ladders suck less? Like,
Well, the thing is that with Black Mesa, that's redo Black
the
Mesa
ladders
just
better than that?
basically.
I don't remember. Were the ladders better than that? Because I don't remember.
Oh, I'm just saying, like in its overall gameplay, it's just really updated from the original Half-Life.
Right. Oh well, yeah, of course. But is it just visual, or?
Well, didn't I actually really haven't played the new Black Mesa. I've been
played
wanting
it,
to.
and they've like the maps are different a bit.
Yeah.
Story-wise, it's the same thing, but they changed
Yeah.
the maps quite a bit, and they still haven't released Zen, as far as I know. So
Yeah.
you still can't beat the game yet.
Oh shit.
I mean, they may have. I haven't played in a long time, so.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like
thought-
with they redid Postal. They redid
Yeah.
the original Postal, and they just updated the graphics and added an extra level. Other than that, it's primarily the same.
But I mean, just like imagine if they just changed its core mechanics. I guess.
Imagine if they made it a first-person shooter instead of a fucking isometric shooter. Oh shit. Oh god, we got a first-person mass killing simulator on our hands. I don't know.
Got that.
It's kind of like when they brought out the new Doom. Like, people loved it.
Mm.
Me included. I love it. I think it's great. Yeah, I don't know. It's just I thought it was a great game, and I thought it was a great reimagining of what Doom was. So
Yeah,
I quite
but
enjoy it.
I guess it's just a difference because because it's just like completely different. It's a new game. It's a sequel, not an actual.
No, it's a reboot. It's
Oh.
a reboot, like completely.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because it doesn't like. It has. I mean, none of the other like Doom and Doom 2 obviously correlated, but Doom 3 had really nothing to do with the other two Dooms. But Doom, I'm calling it Doom 4. It's fucking Doom 4. That's what they should have called it. Doom 4 kind of reboots the storyline of 1, where your character like, well, they kind of the story is much more elaborated on, I guess you could say, because
Yeah.
but the great thing about it is the story isn't like told in your face, right?
Yeah.
Because in Doom, I don't care about the fucking story. No one cares about
You're
the
there to
story
kill.
of Doom. We're here to kill demons and shit. But if you actually care about the story and you want to, stick your dick in between your legs, then you can fucking pick up these PDAs ever so often that tell you like, oh, this is blah 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 blah, and there's a story technically, but no one cares about it. No one cares about the story in fucking Doom. But yeah, it was just like it's fucking solid as hell, dude. That is such a solid reboot, dude. I was so happy. I mean, I hate Bethesda and everything, and they didn't develop it; they just published it. But Doom is great. The actual, just like the original games, which I've been playing through recently, like I've been fucking putting myself through for some reason. I'm playing all the original ones. I'm playing Doom, Doom 2, Master Levels of Doom, Final Doom, Doom 3, and then if I can get it to work, I will play the new Doom. I might just play it on console and stream it from there. Because my fucking PC cannot run the new Doom, dude. My PC is like, it's okay for a gaming computer, but still a piece of shit. I can't run anything past 2015, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, comparative to most stuff.
Yeah, no, it is. Like, higher graphics games just fucking destroy me. I need a new computer more than anything.
Same.
Which I'm probably going to invest in soon, hopefully. I'm just going to break into someone's house, steal their computer.
That's not investing at all.
Shut up.
That's not how that works.
Hey, that's a lot of effort right there. Have you ever broken into someone's home?
Well, there's a difference.
So have you ever broken into someone's home, though?
No.
Damn it, I was trying to get him to confess. No, yeah, but...
No one can ever learn about the White House.
No, yeah, I want to invest in a new computer, though. I think it's something I need to do, firstly. Just because my computer's getting crammed. I need something with more space. Yeah, I only have 192 gigabytes left, so... which is like a lot, I guess, but it's not... with all the shit that I need, it's not enough.
Whenever you're downloading games, whenever you're uploading videos and producing tracks, you're gonna need some space.
Oh, don't forget the assignments.
Oh,
I still have all of my papers from the semester on my computer. I think I have all my papers from 2 semesters ago on this computer. So, I mean, this computer does allow me to do a lot, and I'm extremely grateful for what it allows me to do. But it's not, by no means, it's not a great computer. Like, my processor sucks shit. So,
it's useful, but
it does what it needs to do. But I need it to do more. Definitely.
True.
Also, shouts out to Maple Hoof 2013 for helping me out when I was streaming Doom earlier today, because I was struggling. He gave me this. He taught me a whole ton of shit about Doom, and like, apparently there's these things called source ports that you can use to like modify your Doom, like the resolution. You can change like how big the HUD is, just all this shit, and it's super useful. It's great. You can give yourself like a fucking a crosshair, just all this shit that you can do. But yeah, dude, can we talk about that fucking piece of shit that put out the Zmod? He put out the Zmod add-on originally, right? But then he was like,
"Oh yeah,
I want money for my work now, so that I can continue to develop the Z world and all this bullshit." What I love is all of the servers are dead as fuck. No one plays them because they suck.
Well,
they're terrible.
Whenever you're not willing to update it or change it, and trying to actively charge people just to play it, it's just why?
That's not even the furthest extent. You have to pay him to have a server. Like, if you're gonna have a Z World Afterlife server, you have to pay him money to do it. Also, hang on, let me send you this bullshit that I found out about this fucking guy. So also, this guy like asked why it can't be why you can't have your own servers anymore, basically, and he got banned for that. After that,
what?
Oh yeah. So after that, he went to go see about an unban, and it costs money to get unbanned. You have to pay them. like €5 to get unbanned from their fucking servers.
That's just trying to racketeer. That's just
I don't.
you are paying, or you're just doing that for the sake of getting paid. At the point, you're not.
I don't approve, dude. I'm so mad about it because it is a good game mode. It is really good. When me and Austin used to play it together, it was great. But the guy was just like, and I don't understand his logic behind it, because he could launch the Z World where he's developing onto it, and the Z mod add-on, the game mode, could still exist. The Z mod, or the Z World Afterlife would just have more than the Z mod does, because he would stop developing it. You could still have your shitty ass servers, and we could still have that game mode, which was great. But no, he just wants to take it all away and run these shitty servers.
That's a small problem, but it's just like, what can you do now?
We can kill him.
Sure. Well, I mean, all that's solved though.
We can hold him hostage to give us the shit. Just give us.
We need your game mode.
Put it out as a damn game mode again, you piece of shit. And he's just like, okay, I will. He's French. He's a French piece of shit named David.
Then he'll just run away the moment he sees us.
Sacre bleu. What a dickhead. Oh, give me all your money. You want to play Z World? Fucking asshole. I hate this motherfucker, dude. I'm still so mad about it, dude. Like, I never stopped thinking about it yesterday. I'm still upset about it, dude. It's still so upsetting to me. It's such bullshit. Well, it's not on a sour note. So, my new split. There's no carpet in hell. I have to complete one more track. And I'll be done. Dude, the recording for this album has been fucking crazy. Because remember my old mic?
Yeah.
It, you know how it funked out and stuff?
Yeah.
So, I can't record music with this microphone because it sounds like shit. It sounds like muffled shit. So, I have to, like, plug in the microphone to this computer as well. The original broken one. Because it does work for long enough that I don't have to worry about it doing that. And I don't use it for communication reasons anymore, so I don't even have to worry about, like, you destroying anyone's ears with it. But,
true.
Sort of just like, what I'm getting at here is I have to plug that mic in, I put it in front of the amp, I record the guitar part, then I have to record the vocal part with that same microphone as well before it funks out. Nothing's rushed. This new song that I recorded, I'm so proud of. It kicks so much ass. It is one of the greatest songs I've ever recorded. Like, if I ever was going to be commercial, I think this song's probably the closest I get to being commercial. Which says a lot because I spend the entire, like, ending part of this track screaming. Like, not even screaming words.
Yeah,
I'm just
I
like...
think you were talking... I think you talked about it.
I was recording it, and at the very end, I have, like, this part where I chant, "You play, I sing," and I'm yelling it. I'm like, "You play, I sing. You play, I sing." And after, like, the guitar kicks and that part ends, I just started screaming. And it was so, I don't know, there was something, I guess, raw about it. It was funny to me firstly, and it just went with, like, what the track was about. Because the song is called Music Business. And what I'm writing about in that song is all about, I feel like I can say anything on a track, and no one will care. Like, the stuff that I expressed on Depression Days, quite a few people came up to me and, like, asked me if I was okay, which I appreciated, but there were more people who did not. And I feel like we often just assume that lyrics are just lyrics, and it's whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, oh, he's just putting that out. He doesn't actually feel that, you know, or he's not going through that currently, which is why Ian Curtis fucking died. Because his band members were just like, they didn't even listen to his lyrics. They didn't care. This whole time he's up there talking about how unhappy he is and how he like, death is the ultimatum and all this shit. They never gave a shit. And then when he committed suicide, we're all surprised. So I'm just writing about how I believe the chorus goes something like, here's the thing about the music business, no one cares about your mental sickness, and then it just ends off with you play, I sing. Like, you know, you're being commanded, like, you play, I sing. And just like, just fucking make music, man. Just create art. Fuck it. And it's just a great track. The guitar, I don't know what happened. I was at this really weird space. The battery on my distortion pedal is going out. So I was originally supposed to play the song with distortion. I would love to just show everyone what I'm talking about, but I can't because the music's not out yet.
Yeah.
But basically, like, it's at this weird halfway point where it's distorted, but it's also clean. And I don't know how I'm gonna ever recreate that effect, but it's just like I didn't mean to record it that way. It's what I ended up doing though, and it's such a good song. I mean, I hate to stroke my own dick here, but it's such a good song. It really is. I'm really quite proud of it. So,
hey, gotta be proud of what you make.
Hell yeah, dude, that was so cool when we were at McDonald's last night, and fucking Luke came up to me, and he was like, "Yeah, man, we listen to your music. Like, you're making good stuff." That's so encouraging, dude.
Yeah.
I don't feel like people who are making art and just making it in their spare time like I do hear that kind of thing enough. You need that encouragement, dude, because basically I just put music out there, and sometimes I get money and I'm like, oh, okay, they must have liked it, but rarely do I ever hear someone tell me like, hey man, this was really good. Although I have this, I'll call him a music snob, and I'm not saying it like a dick, but like the dude's experience with music. And he tags me, I'm working, and he tags me in this post on Facebook, and he's just like, hey, me and my brother, who's also a music snob as well, have been listening to your Depression Days album, and I just want to tell you, this is the best thing that I've heard in 2018. This is the best thing I've heard this year. And I was like, holy shit. And he liked how like anti-establishment my music is, and I was like, yeah. That's pretty much the main thing about my music is I'm like, fuck the man, dude. Fuck him. I haven't gotten to write my Kill the President song yet, but it's coming. And it's not going to be about that at all. Like it's just going to be called Kill the President. But it's not going to have anything to do with that title. However, if you want to support any of the music that you were just hearing about, you can go to tylermcallister.bandcamp.com to check out all my new releases. You can check out Bandcamp. I never went to Bandcamp. I was never in band when I was in high school. How about that?
You're not missing out on much.
Were you in band? You were in band. Oh, that's right.
Yes.
I completely forgot about that. Wow.
I was the most forgettable member of the band.
Oh.
I was bass clarinet.
Oh, no. It's almost as bad as being a bassist. Sometimes I feel so bad for bassists just because, like, I see them playing their heart out at the show, and I'm just like, I can't hear them. I can't hear the bass. Like,
they're just all, like, sweating, and they're just, like...
and I'm just like, I can't hear him. That's why I love Jeff's bassist. Like, he's distinct, You can hear the bass in Jeff's songs.
Yeah.
That's why I like Joy Division songs, because I think the bass is like more one of the main parts of that band. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna come on here one day and we're gonna go over my album track by track, because I really want to talk about each track individually, because each track has like a story behind it. And yeah, I don't know. Every song is special to me, always is.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I wouldn't put something out if it didn't mean anything to me.
Fair enough.
I can't wait to start working on Camp Mass Hysteria, but I don't know when that'll be. That's the title of my next full-length album, by the way.
So many projects, so little time, actually.
And I'm still writing that script, too, as well. And I'm going to college. And I might be working for a lawyer.
There's so many things.
So much to do, and not enough time to do it in.
Get drowned out in the river called life, my dude.
To be honest. Also, still looking for a garage to play in. So if you have a garage and you want a bunch of punks to come play music in it.
What a bunch of assholes.
We're here. Tim will be there too.
What?
Yeah. He's not playing music or anything. He's just going to stand there.
And look pretty.
He's my manager.
If you want to get an autograph, you have to pay $10.
Okay.
2 of which will go to Tyler.
You see? We just had this whole discussion about being sellout fucks.
See,
And you're charging $10 for an autograph.
See, I'm not
I was
going
gonna
out of
charge
my-
it all.
I'm not changing my vision, Tyler. I'm changing your vision, which I didn't even know about.
So you're a sellout as a
I'm
manager.
Really a sellout. So really,
You're
am I selling?
How do you sell out as a manager? Is my question. My God, that is the wildest shit I've ever seen in my life. Oh man, I was thinking about the album cover for the split and what we're gonna do with it, because we want to make half of it me and the other half of it the other guy, but we're trying to think of a theme that would fit in with the title, which is, there's no carpet in hell. So yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do for that.
It has to be make it like a hotel murder.
Go on.
One of you getting shot and the other one doing the.
Well, actually, if you want to make it topical, he's black, so I could dress up as a police officer. So on half of the album, you got me like shooting. On the other half,
No,
you
you
got
have to
him with
make
his
it
hands
inverse.
up. What?
You gotta make it inverse. Yeah, make it like you a prisoner, he's the cop.
Oh, okay. So it's like the end of Silent Hill Downpour.
Jeez.
Shouts out to that game. It gets too much shit and it doesn't deserve it. And if you hate that game, fuck you. It deserves
Yeah,
better.
fuck you.
Yeah, fuck
Opinions.
you. Have an
Fuck
opinion,
your
piece of
opinions.
shit. How dare you have an opinion in my house? I'll kill you. No. Okay. I think
It's time.
we covered everything, didn't we?
Yes.
I didn't think we were going to get through everything, given how long our fucking opening topic was. Hour and 30 minutes.
Give us a lot to talk about. We have a lot of stuff that we enjoy.
We do. Next time we'll talk about stuff we hate.
Oh.
Yeah. So Tim's going to go off about African Americans.
No.
Yeah, I'm just kidding, guys.
White people.
He's not. Anyways, this has been the Somewhat Okay podcast.
Yes.
I'm Tyler.
I'm Tim.
We talked about our favorite stuff for a long time. We talked about, movies, books, music, shows. I'm sure there's more we can cover. We can go into favorite video games next time.
True.
And we'll have a lot to talk about there. We talked about, sellouts and how we are exactly that.
Bunch of assholes. Buy our merch.
Buy that merch. Buy that merch. We talked about, live versus studio versions and like how that's a discussion to be had. We talked about revamps a little bit, how we're sick of them, and how you can make them good, and or they can just suck major league cock.
Or you could do with them.
Yeah, we're Hollywood. Hire us. We're out here with good ass ideas. This girl on Tinder just messaged me back after not messaging me back all day, so I guess oh shit. Alright, well, this has been the 8th episode of the Somewhat Okay podcast. Remember, you can catch us here again on Saturday, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. If you're not in that time zone, just fucking figure it out.
Or you could just listen to it.
Yeah.
We got videos.
Or if you follow us, you'll get a notification whenever we go live. And I stream randomly throughout the week. So, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this Somewhat Okay podcast. I hope you had a somewhat okay time. And we'll see you on Saturday. Hell yeah.